Okay, so hi Kim, thanks so much for joining us. So to introduce myself, my name's Nicola Franklin and I head up the recruiting and learning and various other areas within human resources for the company that owns the Los Angeles Times and the San Diego Union-Tribune. And with me today I have Kim Bode, who's a product manager with the company. So Kim, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about your role?
Sure, I'm happy to. So I'm the product manager of newsletters and messaging at the LA Times and San Diego Union-Tribune. So that means I oversee from the product side 25 newsletters and news alert emails of the LA Times and 19 newsletters and news alert emails of the San Diego Union-Tribune. I also manage from a product perspective push alerts that get sent to your phone via the mobile app. And I've been working on a fun little text messaging product called Full Call Text, where our users can directly text with some of our editors.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to organize, like having editors live, able to answer texts on, as they come in.
Right. Well, I mean, my job is to, enable the technology to do it, right? Like I'm not the one who has to actually answer every email or text message, but I do look at it as well because I do see it as like a source of getting user feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So no, that sounds cool. And so other than the products you mentioned that you're directly responsible for, what other kinds of things does the technology team create for the Times?
So the product development team that I'm part of, we actually have a pretty broad range of products. So we have products that are inward as well as outward facing. So that means that we have users that are outside of the company, but also inside of the company. So for example, like to illustrate a little bit better for newsletters, I obviously need to make sure that our emails get sent to as many people as possibly could be interested in them, and make sure that, from a technical perspective, this all goes smoothly. But then also at the same time, I work on our newsletter production tool that our editors are using inside the company, right? So I make sure that their experience is, as smooth as it can be. I mean, we have, our team takes care of, from a technical perspective, the CMS, so the content management system, the mobile apps, the website, ad technology, videos, and then also kind of like special projects like guides, which is something that our team recently launched. And all of that, of course, is, working together, obviously, with our broader product development team, which is engineering and product design. But really, I think that product, especially in my role where I work on newsletters, is at the intersection of all kinds of different business units. So very, very much working closely with stakeholders in editorial, as well as on the business side. So in consumer marketing and advertising.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then, you mentioned some of the other groups that you work with, like from design, and I guess the other end of the process would be QA, like quality assurance, and we spoke to someone else from that team as well. So within the kind of whole life cycle of creating products, where does product management fit in? I mean, it's not like what you imagine with software engineering, you're not coding. I'm imagining anyway, you don't write code, but what does the product management team actually do as part of the creation process?
Well, I mean, we have our product team, or the team of product managers, kind of like everyone has their own part of like product suites, right? Or their own products that they manage. And we do kind of like own all different kinds of aspects of those products, or the entire life cycle of it, or new product features, for example. It doesn't have to be an entirely new product. But yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of where we come in, I mean, of course, we're like with it the entire time. But I think it's also especially crucial to, at the very beginning of it, gather ideas and evaluate them by, asking particular questions, really drilling down in terms of like, you know, is this something that we need? Why do we need this now? And how does it serve our users? So like I kind of like think about it in this matrix of how complex is it? How beneficial is it? You know, how impactful is it? And how valuable is it? And depending on where this falls and if we have stakeholder buy-in, you know, this can be like, if it's not very complex, and it's very impactful and it's very valuable and we have stakeholder buy-in, it's kind of like a no-brainer to do it. But the reality of things is that all kinds of ideas and opportunities fall somewhere on the scale of all of these, right? And so we help, you know, kind of like prioritize which are the projects that we should be tackling first, that we should work on with engineering and design, and make sure that we align all of our stakeholders across the company around these ideas and decisions.
Mm-hmm. Sounds complicated. Lots of things to balance. Yeah.
Right. And I also will say that a big part of the job too is then, looking at the data before you know, conceive a product or roll it out, as well as all the way through, and then especially also after, right? Because like it's very important for us that whatever kind of products we work on, or product features, that we have our certain goals in mind and that we measure these goals or against these goals, so that we can say, you know, afterwards if we reach the goals or if we might have to pivot. Also, you know, like it's not that everything always has to be like top notch. We always have to entirely like reach our goal, but you know, like there's also some learnings along the way that might be valuable.
Mm-hmm. No, that sounds good. So, you know, with that kind of role, what is it that you enjoy about working at the Times and working with your colleagues and your team?
A lot, and on like many different levels. So I actually used to be a reporter and editor myself. Mm-hmm. I'm a trained reporter and editor. And so the fact that the Times is a journalism organization and therefore is crucial to society, you know, the communities of Southern California, Americans, and possibly even beyond the border, is, you know, at the core of why I care about this job and why I care about the Times succeeding and the work that we do, and making sure that the journalism that our, you know, very talented, great journalists are putting out there every day reaches as many people as possible, which we can really help with from a technology perspective. So that's kind of like at the core of, you know, the mission. And then also, but that leads me actually to another point why I enjoy working for the Times, is that I can't speak for my colleagues, but I do think that many of them feel very similarly about the organization, the mission, and why we're doing this. And so, you know, working with a team of like-minded people and just generally good, nice colleagues, and, you know, having a little bit of fun along the way, and just being a good colleague, basically, that makes it very enjoyable.
Yeah. And that kind of brings us to the next question, which is when you're, you know, looking to bring more people onto the team, what it is you would look for in a new teammate. So you've mentioned some things there in terms of people, you know, being genuinely nice and interested in the mission. You know, what other criteria would you have, whether that's technical skills or soft skills, you know, when looking for new people?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for the core product team, it would be a lot of like people skills. Like, it's so important as a product manager, you know, to have empathy, to be able to listen, but also to be able to speak up when it's needed, to be able to tell stories. So, for example, you know, I can apply actually a lot of what I've learned to be a trained reporter and writer, to be able to tell the story of my product, and and present that as well. So those are some of the skills that I think that are helpful to have when you seek a career in product management. But for our wider team, the technology team, you know, of course, there's like, if, you know, apply for an engineering role, there might be some technical skills that we look for specifically, or some like kind of like topic matter expertise that might make sense, or experience using certain tools in the past, or certain software. Though I think that some of this can be learned. And, you know, if I do think that the cultural fit that we talked about earlier is very important as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. Well, unless there's anything else that you wanted to mention about working for the Times, those are all the questions that I had. So yeah, thank you ever so much for joining us.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.